Hello and welcome to Shamrock Sports. I'm Elise Dohoney here with JJ Post and Andrew McGuinness for our senior show, the last show on NDTV for our entire college career. But we're going to try to keep the emotions on tap today. How are we doing, guys?
Fine. Last
Fine.
one, best one.
Fine.
I've got a softball game to get to, so.
Okay, well, we'll hurry up.
Yeah.
Hurry up. We're not going to feel it till the end. But first, important thing to talk about is the blue and gold game that we saw last weekend. Kind of gives us a little heads up about what we can look forward to in the next year. But let's start out with the highlights. What were the positive takeaways we had from the blue and gold game?
I think the quarterback play is a real positive. This is the deepest Notre Dame's quarterback room has looked in years. You had Steve Angeli looked the part of a very overqualified backup, which is what he is. He looked steady, in control. He led the team, and in the fourth quarter, when the game was on the line, he performed. Kenny Minchie, who was the third-string quarterback on the roster at present, looked like a mobile force in the pocket. He could escape pocket, make things happen with his legs. He showed the ability to make throws on platform as well. C.J. Carr, the hyped-up early enrollee, looked way beyond his years as a kid that should be going to high school prom in a few weeks and not being enrolled at Notre Dame. He looked like everything he's been made out to be, and that's without the presumed starter in the room, Riley Leonard, even playing at all. So. Yeah. The ability to go 1 through 4 in Notre Dame's quarterback room, I think, speaks volumes. You look at just 2 spring games ago, you came away with questions about whether even the first quarterback on Notre Dame's depth chart was playing at the level required to, even make a playoff game, much less win one. Right now, Notre Dame looks like they have 4 quarterbacks who, maybe aren't ready to go if you put them in a game right now, but at minimum look like they have the base talent required to, at one point, evolve into the type of quarterback that you expect to see at a school like Notre Dame.
For sure. Feeling optimistic in the quarterback room. Any positive takeaways over here, Andrew?
Well, the quarterback room's looking really good, but they've got some weapons to work with this season. I think Irish fans are going to be really excited for. Jeremiah Love was one of the standouts from this game. Obviously, he has big shoes to fill, taking the mantle for Audric Estime, who, of course, is off to the NFL. But he looked very good. Showed off a nice burst of acceleration. Looks like someone who's going to be capable of being a running back one at the top of a depth chart. And also, the receivers for Notre Dame looked pretty good across the board. Jaden Greathouse made some plays. Deion Colsey got involved, which was good to see after essentially a non-showing this past season for Notre Dame. Remember, there's still some transfers that are going to be coming in during the offseason who aren't eligible yet to play for this Notre Dame team. So Notre Dame's receiver and running back depth chart looks really good right now.
Strong offense set up for next year. But let's talk about the negative things that we saw during this game. What do we have to worry about for next season, JJ?
I think offensive line is the only one that I personally, I think negatives and positives to the blue game kind of a moot point because the game is kind of such a low, exercise activity. Freeman puts it best himself. It's just another practice. That doesn't mean you can't come away with takeaways from the practice, but I think the fact because it's technically a scrimmage does not elevate it above any of their normal spring practices. That being said, offensive line is still something you want to, you wanted to see more, I think. We've reached a point where, Notre Dame's offensive tackles, they're not going to be, Joe Moore winning quality, but you also had a point where Tosh Baker got beat off the edge by walk-on Kobe Anyuke, and that's not something you wanted to see. It remains to be seen who the starting tackles are going to be in Texas A&M. Looks like it's probably going to be Charles Jagasaw and Tosh Baker, unless maybe Gerby Lambert perhaps makes a move, someone else makes a move. But right now, the fact that we A, don't know who the tackles are, and B, aren't sure how much confidence we have in either of those tackles, I think Charles Jagasaw will be a very, very good player in time. But right now, he's set to be a true sophomore starting on the road at Texas A&M against what is set to be a very good front seven. That's scary. And Tosh Baker, a player who's been for 5 years, has never really made a clear move, has just kind of has ascended up the depth chart by, just everyone else aging out. The fact that he's not looking like he's a substantially different player than he looked like sophomore year, that's something to be concerned about. I think in the end, Notre Dame is going to have faith that Joe Rudolph will make this offensive line in the summer better than it is now. I think that's a reasonable expectation. The question is, how much better will it be?
For sure. Andrew, negative takeaways?
Yeah, 2 minor concerns for me. First, Mitch Jeter missing a field goal. You obviously don't want to overreact to one kick, but obviously everyone remembers the missed field goal Spencer Strider had in the Ohio State game. You never know which field goal is going to make or break your season. The other concern for me personally, it's kind of a good concern, we were talking about it earlier, JJ, with the quarterback success. This does not bode well, I think, for Kenny Minchie's future in Notre Dame. And Jelly at least has the potential that maybe he could push Riley Leonard, especially with Leonard obviously being out for the spring game and throughout spring practice with his injury as well. And Jelly's more veteran. We've seen him succeed in game action. Minchie's kind of in an awkward spot right now. It certainly looks like if C.J. Carr hasn't jumped him yet on the depth chart, he's going to very soon. And that leaves Minchie, who's going to be a junior in the fall. It's probably number 4 on the depth chart. There aren't a lot of junior number 4 quarterbacks who are going to stick around at their current school, especially one with the talent that Minchie seems to have. So that might be something that Notre Dame fans have to worry about, is the quarterback depth chart getting a little bit thinner.
Okay, so taking that all into account, just quickly, your Marcus Freeman, it's this summer. What's our number 1 focus?
Well, I mean, offensive line, we already talked about that. The other one I think is going to be interesting is figuring out what you're going to do with the linebacker room because, this is a good problem to have. Notre Dame knows it has people that they want to play in the linebacker room. It's just a matter of in what order, in what positions, Jack Kaiser is going to be an every down starter. That's locked in. Looks like Drake Bowen has the inside leverage to become the new middle linebacker. He looks like he's going to win that spot. Jaden Ausberry, however, it seems very clear they want him on the field. They were using the nickel in the blue gold game, which is definitely not his nominal position. Nickel obviously has more cornerback responsibilities than linebacker, but the fact that they were willing to try him out there and they wanted to try him out there is indicative that they want to get him on the field in some capacity. That's going to be there. They've talked about Kingston Villanueva, the incoming freshman. They said he will play. The question is just how much will he play? Where will they play him? In a linebacker room that has a lot of talented pieces, it's just a matter of where they're going to fit. I think this summer is going to be very big on figuring out how those pieces exactly are going to work come game one.
Sounds good. Anything quick?
And that's not saying anything of Jalen
Marcus
Sneed.
Freeman?
I'll say the wide receiver depth chart. There's probably 6 or 7 guys for Notre Dame that could play like meaningful snaps, and a lot of them for Notre Dame this season. They're all going to get reps. They're all getting opportunities, but it's going to be figuring out how you want the early distribution of those to look like.
For sure. Definitely a lot to look forward to for Marcus Freeman and our football team this summer. But let's focus on the right now. We're going to send it over to Ryan Murphy to give us the headlines of the day. Ryan.
Thanks, Elise. My name is Ryan Murphy, and here are your Friday headlines. As expected, former Notre Dame offensive lineman Joe Alt was a high pick last night in the first round of the NFL Draft. Alt was drafted 5th overall by Jim Harbaugh's Los Angeles Chargers. Chargers finished 5-12 last year and hired Harbaugh in the offseason. According to SpotRack, Alt's rookie contract will be valued at $33.2 million with a $20.9 million signing bonus. While Alt brings in the dollars, Notre Dame will be shelling them out for a new football operations facility, which the university announced last weekend. The new Shields Family Hall is expected to open in fall 2026 with 150,000 square feet of training spaces, offices, nutrition spaces, and more. The university and athletics brass broke ground on the project prior to the Blue Gold game last week. In the spring sports sphere, the Notre Dame lacrosse teams continue their run towards the NCAA tournament. The number 2 women's team began ACC conference tournament play on Wednesday with a nail-biting 14-12 win over Clemson. The Irish trailed 7-5 in the second quarter before they rattled off 6 straight goals, including 2 each from senior leaders Madison Ahern and Jackie Wolak. The women take on number 3 Boston College tonight in the ACC tournament semifinals. After beating North Carolina last week, the number 1 men's team wrap up their regular season at number 5 Virginia tomorrow. The conference tournament play begins for the men on May 3rd. And finally, amidst the pomp and circumstance of the Blue Gold game, next year's edition of the shirt was revealed. And in case you missed it, we've got one here in the studio. Yes, it is gold. It has the 4 horsemen on the front, celebrating the 100-year anniversary of the 4 Horsemen Project. So very exciting to see the student section all decked out in gold next year. Those are your Friday headlines. Thanks so much and enjoy the rest of your weekend. Now back to the show. Welcome back to Shamrock, everybody. Andrew McGuinness, JJ Post, Ryan Murphy. I didn't know I'd be throwing it to myself when we taped that segment earlier, but anyway, we're here with a new segment today, Irish Doku. Andrew and JJ are both noted fans of the grid game, so we thought for the senior show, we'd devise one for Notre Dame sports. And if you guys know them, they are encyclopedias of Notre Dame sports. So let's take a look at what we have here. On the left side, we have Notre Dame hockey, women's basketball, and men's lacrosse down the left. And across the top, first team All-Americans, 100 or 1,000 for basketball, career points, and played professionally. Guys, give it a go.
All right. You want to start, JJ?
Are we going like one by one? Are we doing like a bingo board? Like we each take one?
Go back and forth. Yeah, why not? Make your first pick. Okay.
First overall pick in the Irish Doku.
You can take first overall pick.
Okay.
Because I need the hockey help.
The first team All-American for, I'm going to go with Notre Dame hockey. I'm going to go with someone who's played for my favorite hockey team, Philadelphia Flyers. I feel like Cal Peterson has to have made it.
I
hope he did.
That is incorrect.
No.
All right.
He had so many good goalies.
I'll take someone who also played for my high school on hockey and professional. Give me Kyle Palmieri.
Kyle Palmieri. Okay, Andrew, do you have a second for NHL?
For All-American?
I will award you both. So if you name Kyle Palmieri,
yes.
If you name an NHLer that's rarer than Kyle Palmieri, I'll award you the additional point.
Oh, well, I can easily do that. Cal Burke has played in 3 NHL games. I think I have to go with that.
He gets the additional point for that one. Okay, so it's Andrew. Lowest score wins.
Okay.
So I guess you get the additional.
So I get 2 points and he gets 1. Okay.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, I was gonna say, well, I may. Okay. So is it your turn again then?
Yes.
Well, didn't you get the point, so you go first?
Okay, sorry. So do I?
We're making this up on the fly. If you can't tell.
Notre Dame women's basketball. Let's go with that. Let's go with 1,000+ career points. Let's go with Marina Mabry.
Ooh, okay. I believe, yes, she's 8.
So I need to find someone who has less points than Mabry, but is within more than 10.
Correct. That is correct.
Okay. A bit of gamesmanship here. Do they all need to come at Notre Dame?
Yes.
Damn it. I thought I had a workaround there.
If you were smart, you would have asked that beforehand, like me.
Yeah, wow. Did Niele Ivey get to 1,000 points in Notre Dame uniform?
That is a good question. We're going to find out. I did not see her in my pre-show prep, so I'll flip through now.
It was definitely more of a pass first.
She did.
But did she have more or less points than Marina Mabry?
1,430, which makes her 20th to Marina Mabry's 8th, so we are all tied. 3-3.
Shout out the ball coach.
That's a pretty good guess.
Yeah, no.
I think you're up for picks.
Okay, so I'll take men's lacrosse played professionally. I'm not sure he's actually played in the game, but I do know he is on a PLL roster. Give me Brian Tevlin.
Brian Tevlin, yes. I think Tyler picked him earlier. This is all Americans. I'm looking at the wrong list. Tevlin played in, I believe, recently. Yeah. Okay, can you name anyone rarer than Tevlin?
What about Chris Fake?
Oh, that's a good pick.
So Tevlin played in 2023. Chris Fake, 2023 as well.
We just call
So
it
you both
call it
have
a tie.
you both
We'll
have
call
it
it a tie.
even,
Yeah,
even
yeah.
1 point.
Okay.
I cannot.
The
take it
PLL's
other
news.
than
That feels like a
that.
difficult round to really get old
You know what?
polls.
I'm surprised that you both got one for that. That was the one where I was like, there's no way they're going to get this one. So.
All right, so then who goes? You want to go back to going first? Since
Okay, yeah. So it's my turn. So I can go back to hockey here. I can go.
you want to get a free point, go to hockey.
Yeah. I'm gonna go with 100+ career points. I'm trying to think through who I potentially would want to go with here for this one, though.
There's a lot. There's a
lot.
Looking at it, there are 54 players in the history of Notre Dame hockey who have eclipsed 100 career points. That's quite a lot.
That's true.
Helped out by a lot of those weaker
I'm literally
schedules, I
doing
think.
math right now. I don't think Landon would have gotten there. I think that bad junior season cost him.
No, I don't believe he did.
No. I'm trying to think about like Grant. Ooh, what about Alex Steves? Ooh, that's gonna be close. I feel like I'm gonna risk it. I'm gonna go with Steves.
I do not see Steve's on the list.
I hate everything.
So I just need to name a single player who got over 1,000 points, or 100 points.
I'm selling.
And I'm not entirely sure I can do that.
You definitely can.
Well, I can. I'm just not sure on the spot I can do it. I'll let you check first on Steve's.
I'm checking on Steve's. Checking on Steve's. Does not look like. Do they have any statistics?
Hasn't loaded. Well, just
Give it time to load. Our producer signaling they want points.
No,
Oh,
he
he
did
only
not.
played 3 years.
He did not.
That's the killer.
Any guesses? We're tied.
Not
so
a
we need a
especially strong
tiebreaker before we
ones.
go to break, guys.
So I'm gonna throw out a name. I wasn't even watching Irish hockey at this period of time, so I just know I've seen him on the media guide a bunch. I don't even know if he was an attacker. Give me Jake Evans.
Jake Evans is number 21. We have our tiebreak. There we go.
I just have seen his name on the media guide a
Take away a point
bunch.
for him calling a forward an attacker.
I'll give you want a half point. That's fine by me. Hockey's not my strong suit, so if you want to give me a half point, that works.
We need one more. So make your last pick before we go to break.
Okay.
We'll finish it after the show.
Okay.
Choose wisely though. Ruth Riley for Notre Dame. What is it for?
First team All-American.
First team All-American.
I think we're just doing these equally, and whoever has the more rare pick.
So I have
for
to do a first team All-American.
You can.
No, you can pick
whatever you want.
anyone on the board.
Any category. Can I go back to the hockey?
Yeah, sure. Feel free.
See, now I'm thinking, because I want to say Anders Lee, but maybe he didn't play all 4 years, so he probably didn't get there. It's not my guess. Not my guess.
Okay.
I am going to say played professionally at Michaela Mabry.
She did.
Yeah, she definitely played professionally.
Shout out the Mabrys for carrying me.
So you're both right.
We could have used a lot of siblings. We could have got some Catherine Westbeld on this board.
Oh, Trevor Janicki's got to be at 100 points.
I was saying, the Janicki brothers could have worked.
He missed it by 50.
You could have got any of the Kavanaughs, I think, for the over 100 points.
Well, yeah, I was thinking that.
That will do it for our first edition. Ruth Riley, pretty rare guest, so that'll do it for our first edition.
She's one of the best players in program history. She's not that rare.
Irish Doku. We'll finish after the show, but for now, Elise Dohoney will be back on the other side for the rest of the senior show. My name is Ryan Murphy. Take care.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to ND Sunrise.
This is the
Review of the Keenan Review.
That's right. We've got a big game in Sin City.
Plot twist, I am the Grim Reaper.
Overall, this year's event was a rousing success.
Would Notre Dame be the first one to accept ASL as a foreign language as a department?
Once again, I'm Elena Morgan from ND Sunrise, signing off.
Okay, so I'm back here with Andrew McGuinness, JJ Post. I'm Elise Dohoney, and we're going to enter a segment now called Fightin' Words, Irish First Take. So it's going to get a little controversial in here, potentially, depending on how you guys are feeling today. We're going to start with something based on our conversation we just had earlier. Is it time to scrap the blue and gold game? Is it even worth it to have? JJ, I'll give it to you first.
I think the blue and gold game is clear fan service, but that doesn't mean it's time to scrap it. I mean, there's nothing wrong with fan service. I like fan service. I'm a fan. I'm going to gobble up the blue gold game every year, even though I'm no longer on campus, because I like just, watching players play, low impact football. I mean, there are legitimate arguments to say that the game doesn't matter. Freeman himself has said it's no more than a practice, which is true. I don't think you can take a lot away from the game, but hey, you still get to watch Notre Dame football in the spring. What's wrong with that? I think we should keep it, even though it doesn't really serve any clear purpose any more than any regular practice would.
Commissioner McGuinness.
You know what athletics departments like, Elise? They like money. And the blue gold game
As
makes
has
money.
been previously
Almost 40,000 people in attendance this year, regularly clears 30,000. And it's not just students necessarily going to the games. It's people who come in and enjoy going to this game and have a good time, obviously buy concessions and that sort of stuff too. As JJ said, yeah, it's not the most competitive thing, but that doesn't matter. It's a fun experience for people to go out, get a little taste of Notre Dame football. I don't see any reason why you would make sense to scrap it. So keep it.
Yeah, I got a good suntan from this weekend too, so fully worth it. Okay, next one. Does women's basketball, or moving on to women's basketball, do we have too many star players going into next year? Will the team be able to mesh with that many stars on the court at the same time? McGuinness?
I mean, there's a lot of problems you can have with a team. Having too many good players,
I've watched the Knicks for too many years to deal with this question.
It can be a problem, but it's a really good problem to have. I think Niele Ivey's a really good coach. I think he's going to find a way to balance this out effectively for this Notre Dame team. What that looks like, I'm not sure yet. Obviously, Olivia Miles and Hannah Hidalgo, it's going to be interesting to see how they play her in particular. But obviously, Maddie Westfeld coming back. Working with both of those players is going to be fantastic. Maybe they add someone in the portal, too, potentially. Looks like KK Bransford's going to stay, which is nice for the depth as well for this team, too. Having a lot of good players is how you win a national championship, and that's the goal for Notre Dame right now. So I think having all these players together, could it maybe backfire? Potentially, but it's also the clearest path for Notre Dame having great success.
Hey, JJ, I hear you trying to talk over here.
Yeah, I think he summarized it perfectly when he said it can be a problem, but it probably won't be. Because in my opinion, the have too much talent, it comes down to two things. One, does the talent fit incorrectly or correctly? And I think when you see teams with quote-unquote too much talent fail, it's usually because the talent's all located on one area. And there is the Hidalgo-Miles question, but that's really the only other team where it feels like there's a log jam at the position. Citron, Westfeld, Koval, they're all going to have their distinct roles, whatever transfers come in as well. That's not really a log jam of talent. Those are talents that fit in their roles in the starting lineup, and I'm sure Miles and Hidalgo will have whatever the solution might be, it will be one. And the other one is going to be personalities. When too much talent teams fail, it's usually because, there's a locker room dispute. They wouldn't have all come back if that was a problem. There's a reason Miles, who could have gone elsewhere and been the starter, been the lead guard, if you will, chose to come back, and that's because she clearly thinks Notre Dame has a vision for her. And that same applies to Westfeld, who took her 5th year, and all the other players that could have taken even bigger opportunities elsewhere, but decided to stay and be a part of a team at Notre Dame.
For sure. So let's stay optimistic about women's basketball, but let's move on. Let's look way in the future now. We just watched the NFL draft last night. It's continuing. Who do you guys think is going to be Notre Dame's first-round NFL draft pick next year? Well, not Notre Dame's pick. Which Notre Dame player is going to be picked the first-round NFL draft next year? McGuinness, any thoughts?
Ooh, that's a good question right there, Elise. Obviously, I think Benjamin Morrison probably has the highest ceiling of anyone on this Notre Dame team. Only a junior, but I feel like he's on the same kind of track record as a Kyle Hamilton, where it looks like he's going to be someone that goes off to the NFL draft. He's obviously been fantastic for this Notre Dame team these last couple of years, bursting right onto the scene as a freshman, having that great season with all the interceptions he got. Didn't have quite as many big plays last year, but he was still very solid night in and night out for this Notre Dame team. So I think Irish fans are excited to see what he's going to do this year, and I think he could definitely play his way into the first round.
For sure. JJ, your thoughts, your pick?
Yeah, I mean, I think Morrison's the only obvious answer. He's young enough, which is what teams look for. He's only been coached for 3 years. So I'll flip it and go with maybe a more unconventional pick and Xavier Watts. Definitely is not really what teams are traditionally looking for in the draft. He's going to be in college for, I think this is going to be his 4th year, maybe his 5th year. But anyway, he's experienced, so he's not going to have that element of like, can he grow even more? But what he is someone that only recently picked up the same position. You saw last year, he got better every game. And the reason he returned to Notre Dame, even though we probably would have been 3rd, 4th round pick in this year's draft, was he could have gotten even better. And he said, hey, I can still improve in coverage. There are things that I can be better at. And, if the bet is that he does get better, if he puts together another season like last year where he competes for the Bronco Nagurski Award and, has 5 interceptions, that's going to be a player I think teams going to look for. If you want some playmaking in your secondary, I don't know if that would be a 1st round pick worthy, but I think it'd certainly be worth a look.
For sure. And now moving back to women's basketball, we're really flip-flopping here today, guys. WNBA draft just last week, I believe, at this point. What Notre Dame women's basketball player do you think gets drafted to the WNBA next year? McGuinness?
Well, Maddie Westbeld seems like a lock. Obviously, this is going to be her last year of college basketball. She's been fantastic for the Notre Dame team the last couple of years. Olivia Miles is going to be an interesting one, obviously coming off the ACL tear. So she'll be a senior this year. She does have the extra year of eligibility from missing all of last season. Would she want to use that at Notre Dame, especially if Hannah Hidalgo is still here, which obviously we assume will definitely be the case? Does she want to transfer potentially? If she has a really good year, I could see her making the leap, but it's just going to depend on how she bounces back from that injury. Obviously, for basketball players, your speed is important, especially the game that she plays. But she's obviously very talented, so it's going to be interesting to see how she plays out this year. I definitely think it's a possibility she could turn pro after this season.
For sure. And JJ, your prediction a year out at this point?
I think a player not enough people realize could go really high in the WNBA draft is Sonia Citron. Because you look at what teams look for in a traditional 2-guard, and Citron checks every box. She's got the size at 6 foot, I believe 6'1", to defend basically every guard you could ask her to. She's got an ability to shoot the ball, shooting at I believe 40% clip from deep this year. Obviously automatic from the line. She can handle the ball as well. She wouldn't be a primary ball handler, but for a secondary ball handler, she's about as good as you're going to get. There's not a lot of things that you want a guard to do in the modern game that Sonia Citron can't do. And you saw this year, matched up 1-on-1 against Paige Beckers for 40 minutes, held her to 5 of 18 shooting, and that's going to be the number 1 pick in next year's draft. So I don't think you can put on a better sample size than that for WNBA teams as to why you should be drafted.
For sure. Well, we'll check back in a year to see if you guys are even remotely correct in your picks. But I have faith in you guys. You're pretty practiced seniors at this point. But for now, we're going to head it on over to Kian, who's going to give us the history of Notre Dame's The Shirt, which was just released this past week. Kian?
During last weekend's Blue and Gold game festivities, Notre Dame unveiled its 35th edition of The Shirt. Regardless of what you think about this year's edition, there's no doubt or dispute that this mere shirt is an extremely historic and integral part of Notre Dame football and of the university and its values. When did the shirt start? If you do the math, last Friday marked the 35th unveiling of the shirt, meaning that the shirt was first unveiled in 1990. If you guessed 1990, you're right. In spring 1990, senior Brendan Harvoff created the concept of the shirt to raise money for the Student Union Board's annual Spring Festival and Tussle. Harvoff also intended to use the shirt to unify the student body before the first home game against Michigan later that fall, and this tradition still continues today as we had our shirt game last year against Tennessee State, the first home game of the season. After Harvoff's first shirt raised almost $20,000, it was decided that it would be the permanent duty of the Ann Tossell chair to create the shirt. Eventually, the Student Union Board gained enough revenue and decided to have the shirt project be its own separate committee and have the yearly revenue go to various student organizations and other causes. The shirt's annual funds go towards ensuring that the activation fee for student activities is not raised, has not been raised since 2004, ensures that it goes to Rector Fund, which allows rectors to ensure that all students have textbooks, football tickets, and other essentials in flourishing at Notre Dame and that are needed to flourish at Notre Dame. Kickoff. This started the shirt charity, where proceeds from the shirts go to fund unexpected medical expenses of students in need. Overall, the shirt embodies everything that makes Notre Dame special. Its tradition, being student-led out of the goodness of many students' hearts, its unity, its spirit, and its commitment to service to those in need and to the Notre Dame student body as a whole and their service. Even though the color changes every year, the heart of the shirt never does.
Thank you, Kian. I don't know about you guys, but I actually love the shirt color this year because I thought back of our 4 years here, 3 of the shirts have been green and only 1 has been blue. We finally got a different color.
Well, it's just been forever in general since they've had a gold one. I really like the detail on the back of it too. With the helmet, you can see the tunnel and the championship banners inside. I think it's a really nice one.
And when I heard it was gold, I was concerned because I think there's a lot of ways a gold shirt can go wrong. Yeah. I've got no problem with this one. I think it was overhated in some of the initial reactions that when people found out it was going to be gold.
So a full endorsement from NDTV from our seniors who have we know how to wear a green shirt. It's our turn to wear a yellow shirt next year when we come back as washed up alumni.
I don't think we're going to be the ones wearing the shirt.
I'm going to wear the shirt.
I'm going to wear it.
I'm going to wear it.
Are you going to come back for the shirt game?
Not that.
That's what I meant.
I always wear it. I wore it to every single game I went to.
Really?
Yeah.
He's a real fan. He's a real fan. Well, given that we are seniors, we thought we would take this opportunity in our last show, our last time on air at NDTV, to recap our favorite sports moments over our last 4 years here at Notre Dame. So I was going to actually go first because I'm a little selfish like that. When our director, Ryan Murphy, asked me my favorite sports moment at Notre Dame, I sent him a picture of my intramural volleyball team that won a total of 1 game throughout our entire, that's why we're holding up number 1s in the photo. Not because we're number 1, no, because we won 1 total game. But it is the most exhilarating thing, the first time I had ever competed in a sporting event since high school. And it was great. And I'm horrible at volleyball, I've heard. That's why I didn't play it in high school. But that was, I feel like, Notre Dame community getting together across dorms, a lot of girls in my dorm, a few guys from other dorms too, and really having fun. But of course, I also had to throw in a few pictures from football games, hockey games, using the hockey game as a study break. I mean, come on, like my friends in those pictures are all studying for the MCAT. They like left MCAT studying to go to a hockey game. And then of course is me at the senior game doing push-ups. I'm gonna miss those times. So that was me. But JJ, since you're in your 3 years here, you've had at Notre Dame sporting events. What has been your favorite sports moments?
I mean, I've kind of oversaturated myself and all that. Like,
you have a lot to choose from.
I was trying to pick. So for those who don't know, or I didn't count sophomore year, so I don't know. The last 2 years, I've attended 230 Notre Dame sporting events in total. So I was trying to think of a moment. I don't really have one. Like, I've seen a national title game, won that. I've seen a national title game, we lost. So I've got both sides of that spectrum. Okay. I've seen NCAA tournament games that we've lost. I've seen NCAA tournament games we've won. I've seen mundane games. I've seen exciting games. I've seen, the one thing we don't have photos for was Jacob's birthday party at the Backer. Andrew McGuinness was there last week. That honestly, we're not going to talk about why it was sports related. It might be my favorite sports related memory at Notre Dame. Though a shout out to the lacrosse team for winning a national championship. That was pretty cool too.
Don't forget fencing.
Fencing won multiple.
Yeah. Living with a
here's some stock photos I took of my sister because people would rather see my sister than me. I know what the audience wants.
Give them what they want. Oh, well, you definitely have been our #1 sports fan in terms of attendance.
Tyler.
In terms of attendance, you've been going off since before Tyler was here.
That's true.
I mean, just based on default. Okay, McGuinness.
Well, JJ's definitely got us all beat in terms of games attended while he was at Notre Dame. But I've been going to Notre Dame Polk games apparently since I was 1 year old.
Oh.
That's what my parents have told me. My dad went here, so we grew up going to about a game a year or so. And so it's been really cool to make the trips out to football games this year, or over the last 4 years, I should say. I've gotten to go on some games on the road for the Observer and WVFI, which has been fantastic.
How do you feel about the song Rocky Top, Andrew?
Well, I'm going to get to that, but first, obviously senior day, see there with me and all my friends. That was obviously a really special moment, as all of us can attest to. Underclassmen, that's going to be a really great day for you guys, especially because we got a good game and not one that was covered in.
Historically, we're good at senior days. Our time here.
But one of the best trips I think I got to go on was my sophomore year in that summer when I got to go to Knoxville to cover baseball in the Super Regional. And got to see Notre Dame reach the College World Series for the first time in 20 years, which was not something that I necessarily expected, given how good that Tennessee team was. And for Notre Dame to pull off that upset with a late comeback in the series deciding Game 3 was outstanding. Gotten to storm the field at Notre Dame Stadium twice. I did not do the USC one. Anyone who says that was a real field storm, come on, let's get real.
Unserious field storm.
The two Clemson ones were obviously fantastic. The trip to Knoxville was great. However, when Ryan Murphy sent this text, he just said favorite sports memories, and he was not smart enough to limit it, at least when he initially sent it to Notre Dame Sports. And so I would be remiss if I did not talk a little bit about the 2022 Philadelphia Phillies.
I'll allow it.
First postseason appearance in over 4,000 days for that Phillies team. I got to go to one of the games with my dad because somehow, even though they were the last team to make the postseason, they wound up going all the way to the World Series that year. That's my dad and I at Game 3 of the NLCS with my mom and my sister were also there too. And so getting to see them go on that deep run, share that with my family, some of my friends here, and just enjoy it for myself was really cool. And as someone who has been a diehard Philly fan for a long time, definitely did not see that coming, and that's what kind of made it so great.
No, absolutely incredible. We've had an incredible run here. And just one more person I want to shout out before we wrap up the show is Jake Miller. Jake Miller has been our president of NDTV for this past year, but he's been involved with Shamrock Sports and with student media in general since his freshman year, I believe. Has just been a constant support, both on the sports side, but also on the news side. He's a senior, he's graduating with us. He's in the back making sure that this show looks as seamless as it does, and we really could not put on the type of production that we are able to over the last few years if it wasn't for him. So shout out to Jake Miller in the back room. Thank you for everything you've given to NDTV, and we really appreciate you. We're gonna miss you. And with that, I don't know, guys, last show. I just want to say thank you to everyone who has ever supported us and my mom for watching every single one of the shows and giving me a review after it. NDTV has been a big part of my college experience, and it's hard to say goodbye. And for this to be the last time I get to wear this wonky microphone and talk to a camera. So that's my goodbye. JJ, anything you'd like to say?
I mean, if I tried to talk, we wouldn't finish the show for another 10 minutes. You know, as a kid, wanted to go here my entire childhood. For most of my high school career, I didn't think that was going to be a possibility. It wasn't a possibility until I spent a year at Wisconsin, and then it became a possibility. But I made it here eventually. Best 3 years of my life. It's a cliche, but it's also true, and it's quite literally a dream come true. So just shout out everyone in the last 20 years of my life that helped me get here.
Yeah, I mean, I was the same as JJ. Like I talked about going to football games as a kid. My dad went here, graduated in 1981. Some of my cousins went here. And I remember when I got into Notre Dame, I didn't like jump up and scream. I kind of just like sat on my bed and just smiled and was like very happy and just like soak it all in. And I've tried to do that over the last 4 years, just soak it all in, the good, the bad, and the ugly that was 2020. But we got through all that stuff. Huge thanks to everyone here at NDTV. Shout out to Jacob Irons for introducing me to this. He actually got here before me to NDTV, even though I am a year older than he is. All the great people that I've worked with here over the last few years and shared other student media experiences with. It's been a blast.
Thank you also to Lori, Pete, Dylan, all our advisors, all the people who have supported us through the years, our upperclassmen who have kind of paved the way for us. I'm thinking Anthony Rio, Kieran Cantwell, you know, all the people who have kind of made this possible. It has been a fantastic 4 years. I would never trade it for the world. So for the class of 2024, I'm Elise Dohoney here with JJ Post and Andrew McGuinness, signing off for the last time for Shamrock Sports. Have a great evening.